Oh, hey everyone, it's Dave Barnett from the investlocalbook.com blog site. Sorry, I haven't been putting up as many videos and blog posts as I normally do. Um, been distracted by a few things going on in my life. Namely, if you saw the video that I did about why I drive an 11-year-old car, I was talking about how I was planning on purchasing something bigger like a Dodge minivan, likely over the winter. And knowing that I was getting ready for such a purchase, I started to pay attention to the market and started to look online and noticed this van. It's a 2010 that only had 74,000 kilometers on it, where most of the dealers around town that had 2010s available had well over 100,000 kilometers, some as high as 150,000. And this was just sitting there for a couple of weeks. Had no asking price on the ad, and so I started to call the guy, and I called him. And dealers with similar vehicles with higher mileage were looking for about 11.9, and I started calling this guy. And at first he said he wanted 11.5. I didn't leave my name or anything. I just said, okay, thank you very much. Then I'd call him the next week and ask him how much he wanted for the van. And he said 11.5. And then I called him a week later, and he said 11,000. And I figured that was probably time to go have a talk with him. And I went and took the car for a test drive. And it handled beautifully, but it had a little bit of a vibration when I hit the brakes. And I knew from experience that probably meant that a brake rotor needed to be fixed. So I called him back and talked him down a little bit more to 10.5. And then agreed to have him meet me at my mechanic's shop, where they took it for a test drive and looked at the brakes, and some of the rotors had rust on them. And so, given the brake work that had to be done, I offered him 10 grand. He had to, get his back up a little bit, and ended up getting the car for 10.2. And I'm really happy about that. But it meant that I was basically in the market buying a car before I was planning on it. So I did go to my banker, and she lent me part of the amount of money for the car. And now I have to sell the car. So the '04 Sonata, and it's Wednesday night, okay, December 4th. On Saturday night, which would have been the 29th, I guess, of November, I put up this advertisement. This is Kijiji. This is like the Canadian version of Craigslist, and it's owned by Google. So they have integration with YouTube, so it works really well. I made a little YouTube video about my car, and I put an ad up here, and I took a look online, and cars like mine with similar mileage were listed on Kijiji. I looked all across eastern Canada, and they ranged from a low of $1,100 to a high of $1,900. So knowing the tricks that I know, and look, see, 101 visits, only one reply. Knowing the tricks that I know, of course, how did I advertise this car? 2004 Hyundai Sonata GL sedan, studded tires, because I put the winter tires on, knowing that there's people out there looking for an old car for winter, especially if they drive a nice fancy car in the summertime. And of course, financing possible. And the one email reply I got from this ad, very first question out of their mouth was, "Tell me about the financing." I parked this car at my mechanic's parking lot. His shop is on a main boulevard, and put it right up by the road with a for sale sign in the window. And I got a call from a passerby, and then a call from a guy who works in a neighboring business. He actually works at a car rental agency. And so keep in mind, the highest price for this particular kind of car with this mileage that I found in eastern Canada was $1,900. So I've priced this $300 above the high end for this vehicle. So this guy from the car rental place calls me up, and he says, "I noticed the car. I was walking past it. It looks like it's in great shape." And he said, I thought $2,200 was kind of expensive, and then I noticed on the sign that you said that you would do financing. And I said, yeah, of course I will. I know it's an older used car, and I figured it was probably a younger person that was going to be buying it. And I don't owe any money on the car. And I remember what it was like when I was younger and, trying to get mobile, etc. So he starts talking to me, and I had given my mechanic a set of keys if anyone wanted to go and start it up or whatever. So he called me back tonight, and he said that he wanted to buy it. He had stopped by today, got the engine running, talked with the mechanic who had done all the service, so he got a little bit of the history of the car. And he called me up tonight to make a deal. So basically, he's going to give me $500 down, and I'm going to finance the balance of this in equal payments over 12 months. So I wanted to basically do a video on what kind of rate of return I have received, given the difference between financing and what we'll call the cash market. Okay. As well, we're going to talk a little bit about risk and what exposure to risk that I have. So actually, let's talk about risk first. If I get $500 down, I'm owed $1,700, right? And so people would say, wow, you're risking $1,700. It's important to understand the difference between guaranteed money and the time value of money. And I could, for example, if I had priced this car at $1,900 and insisted on an all-cash deal, I could very well be sitting on this car for months. In fact, some of the cars on Kijiji that are priced like that at the higher end of the spectrum have been on here for like 120 days. That's 4 months. That's a long time. My insurance cost on this car is about $55 a month, so I don't want to sit on it forever. It costs me money. So I did take it to a new car dealer to figure out what they might give me as a trade-in. It's an old car, no questions asked. What did the dealer say? They said they would give me $750 as a trade-in, right? So as far as I'm concerned, my risk in this deal is $250. If the guy gives me $500 cash, takes off, I never hear from him again, basically I've lost $250. If he makes 2 payments, I'm in the money. Okay? Because $750 is guaranteed what I could have received for the car from a dealer who is ready to buy it at any moment, as long as I was willing to buy a car from him, right? So what about the rate of return, though? Let's go over to the time value money calculator. So present value, $1,700 is what I'm lending to him, and I'm taking the money over 12 months, and so the payment is $141.67 over 12 months. Where's my monthly, and I want to know what my rate is. My rate is 0. So there's no interest on this deal. I basically just divided the outstanding amount of money by the amount that's owed to me. Now, let's assume that I was willing, if somebody had cash, I was willing to accept $1,900. Okay? So what would that mean? It would mean that I would actually be happy if this were a 14, right? In an all-cash deal, I would have accepted $300 less. So if we really say that I have invested $1,400 into this deal, the difference being me willing to wait for 12 months, what does that do to my rate of return? 37.46%. So basically what I did, and this is illustrated in my book, Invest Local, is I built in interest into the selling price of the vehicle, because I priced it at a higher price over what I would have been willing to accept in a cash deal. As a result, my yield on this deal is 37.46%. But let's be honest, if a guy came along and talked to me and he had a big wad of cash in his hand, and he was waving around at me, just like I was, posturing and talking about an all-cash deal with the person I bought the van from, I would probably cave a little bit, just like the seller of my van caved with me. I would probably be willing to accept $1,750 or $1,800. So let's reduce this by another $100. What does that do to my rate of return? 52.68%. And that is how you earn a great rate of return off of something that, am I really making this investment in this note? As far as I'm concerned, the thing's paid for. It's a liability now. It just costs me money to own it. I want to get rid of it as soon as possible. And if I can get extra out of it over what I would have accepted in a cash deal, then it represents a great value for me. Anyway, if you want to learn more about how to get these great types of rate of returns on everyday deals that you do in your own community with small businesses, with individuals, with vehicles, mini homes, inventory, financing, equipment, etc., then you should get a copy of my book. Invest Local is available on Amazon anywhere in the world and on Kindle. And by the way, it does make a great Christmas gift for the business type person in your life. You can also go to the investlocalbook.com blog site where we have running commentary about different things regarding these topics: small business, local investing, private lending, borrowing, buying and selling businesses, and home economics, because the best investments, of course, have no risk and they start in your own home. And right here on the website, you can also buy the book. You can make an instant PDF download right from investlocalbook.com. Anyway, thank you very much. Had a lot of fun selling my car. I'd also like to note that because I offered financing, I sold the thing in, let me see, it's Wednesday night. So basically 4 full days on the market, and it's sold. Talk to you later.